And I knew from that, at that school, I knew that that teacher who did this calendar, which we got every year, and again, it was beautiful. You remember it?
Yeah,
It was beautiful.
It was really good.
But it was a reflection on her. I mean, you could tell. It was like she was so proud of those calendars. They were gorgeous. But it was her project, you know. And we don't do anything like that. I mean, it was it. I would have preferred, you know, just, you know, in December, you know,
A snow scene.
cotton balls for, you know, the snow, and it was just, you know,
The most
you could just
perfect
tell.
art is not perfect.
Yeah, and just so you know that they're kind of messy, crappy artwork. It's not a reflection on you. You're doing them a service by allowing them to, you know.
Yeah, I feel like the last school Maya went to, like even during the work with her learning how to write and stuff, the teacher would send home papers, and I'll look at it and I'll go, "Did Amaya do this?" And she'll be
Right.
like, "Yeah."
Right.
And I'll ask the assistant, and she'll be like, "No, another kid helped her." And then I'm like, "Yeah, get this away from me." Like, my kid
Or
didn't do this.
you want to see what your child, you know, what your child did. So,
And the parent knows that the child.
and the
is
parent
not
knows,
done.
yeah.
It's perfect, you know.
And again, it's not our fault if the parent doesn't
Right.
fully appreciate their, you know, child's. I'd frame that. You
I
know, hang it
framed
up, you
my
know?
kids' art in
Yeah.
ornate, beautiful
If it-
frames.
Okay, so enough about art. I think, you know, it's a work in progress. Right? Okay, and then peace. We did a little bit about peace in the classroom. Montessori wanted world peace, and of course we all want that. But you know, it starts with the children. So I actually don't know if you. I don't know. Do you have a peace area in your classroom? I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying, do you have a peace area?
I'm
Yeah.
looking on it.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So we didn't learn about the Peace Corner yet.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gonna be our October seminar,
Okay.
so she said to just leave an area in our
Okay.
room open because that's when we're gonna do all the work for it.
Okay.
In October and then bring it back.
So what I kind of learned this week was, in all honesty, I don't think I had a peace area.
So you guys
It
don't
may have been
like the
part of my
peace rose
reading.
book?
Yeah,
Well, I
we
had
have
the
one
I
piece rose.
had the peace row.
Yeah.
I had the peace rose. I just don't.
You
Oh,
have
what
the book?
book? Do you guys have that book?
You have it? Okay.
Yes.
I just didn't have like a dedicated area. But the classroom I was in, it had a little corner for peace, and
Yeah.
it was an area that they could, if they needed time to themselves, they could go and sit. And sometimes you may have to suggest that you need a couple minutes in the peace corner, and maybe they'll say yeah, maybe they'll say no. But if they want to go over there, they can have a few minutes. She had a little hourglass timer, something you'd get out of a game or something that was like for 2 or 3 minutes.
There's a bunch in Cedar Room, just so you
Oh,
know.
okay.
There's
Bunch
a
in
bunch.
Cedar Room.
Debbie bought a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
There's 5-minute ones and there's 10-minute ones.
Yeah.
Okay, and we may not.
Need
That's
the
probably a little
hourglasses.
long, maybe, but
Yeah.
if
1,
they
2
want,
minutes.
if they want to time themselves or just have a few minutes of peace, they also showed they had stress balls in the area, and they had like some kind of like
Like a massage.
rollers, like little massage rollers that you know. I'm just giving ideas, not saying you need to go
Well,
out and get
sometimes they
this stuff.
used that little box that had the sand and the rake in it, that had the
Yeah,
rocks in
so
it.
so many activities. The
Yeah, I
other
have
thing
that
I
one,
loved
and they can go
was
around the rocks. Kids
Yeah.
loved it.
the
Yeah.
rock,
Yeah.
the rocks.
With the rake.
With the
and
rake,
Oh, yeah,
they made
same,
their
okay.
design.
Yep.
Nothing else, Play-Doh is so nice to just squeeze, or that,
As long as they're not, it's not a
Sand,
hidden area where you're like,
Yeah.
right.
or on the carpet, I guess.
I know you
Small.
talked about tattletailing earlier, so not just one person could be in the peace area, right?
No, I use the peace area
Is that
for
conflict?
conflicts.
Yeah.
If you're having an issue, you take
Yeah.
the peace rolls and you and that person go into the peace
Peace
area
area.
and try to work it out yourself.
Yeah,
If
we
you
use
can't,
the peace
then
stuff.
the assistant or the teacher will come over and help you work it out. But that, yeah.
Sounds like you guys have a
Toddlers
problem.
is
Maybe
too
you'd like
hard.
to go to the peace area and talk, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing they had, which I loved, was they had a yoga picture book, which if we found a good one, we could get and laminate. They kind of like chopped it up. They cut it, laminated it. Or I guess if it was a sturdy book, we wouldn't have to do that. But if it was like a paper book, laminate it, put it on a ring, and then have a little rug or yoga mat over there. And then they themselves, if they just need to do downward dog for a couple minutes in the peace area, I really thought that was a cute way, something to introduce to the peace corner. encourage them to go there if they're having a tough time. Any other questions about peace or art?
Our children that need that we need.
Okay, the next page I just titled Random Bits of Goodness because I just was like jotting things down, and some of them we've already gone over. So remember, repetition causes mastery, and these kids want to be masters. So allow it if you can. Does everybody know what a sensitive period is? No, non-lead teachers. Does anyone know what a sensitive period is?
Where they cry for no reason and
Nope.
where they cry and then
Where they cry for
I
no
don't know
reason.
why.
Oh, yeah.
So a sensitive period is a time when a child can learn something
Oh,
effortlessly.
right.
And we all go through these periods. Like, excuse me. Do you ever go through a period, and this is not quite a sensitive period, but it's gonna help you relate. Are you ever like at your house and you're like, I've got to organize this closet, and you can't focus on anything else until that closet gets organized, right? You are just like, my kids might not get fed. I, may not have any groceries in the house, but I have got to do this. And you're just focused and you want it done. That's sort of like what a sensitive period is like. If a child, I'm gonna use Matthew because he did that. Was it a space puzzle?
Fox was like that.
Okay, in fact,
Yeah.
did you do a space puzzle or something?
Yeah.
And he had to do it every day, and he had to.
Floor puzzles.
And it's okay. That's what they need at that time. And it might be cutting, like Joe had, or it might be the bank game because
Yeah,
they just
some
want to be.
children when they walk into the classroom, no
It's
matter
part of their
whatever you
routine.
guide them,
Yeah.
they want to do that work
Yeah.
that they aim for, and
already.
once they do that,
Yeah.
they settle down and move on to the.
And you have to take out. I don't think the parent would want them to do that every day.
Yeah.
Just zip it.
Right.
Allow them to do that. They probably only spend so much time on it, and
Yeah.
then you can guide them into something else. Yeah.
Is Joe still making money?
I think that'd be illegal, but if he could, no.
I'm kidding.
I just love it. I just picturing him doing that, and
Making $100
his
bills.
mom finding them in the washing machine, like pieces of paper, I really laugh at that. Okay, so just if you see a kid repeating, just remember it might be their sensitive period. It might be and it probably happens a lot in toddlers, I would imagine. Flower arranging or whatever, they just have to do it. It's okay. That's what they need right now.
The thing is the water.
We need to praise the process, not the results. So we don't want to say,
You did the 45 layout.
you sometimes actually all you have to do is repeat what they did, but no, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for doing that. You should be proud of yourself. You did it. You did the whole thing all by yourself. Again, sometimes praise is just repeating what they did. They want acknowledgement. So with that, I don't know where I have it. I just want to mention that we don't completely have to refrain from saying good job, but we want to find alternate ways to praise children. So
Work hard.
if it comes out, it comes out because it's natural and it happens. If you catch, it's fine if you say it. If you can, follow it up with something personal. So saying good job is a praise, but it's not personal. Saying good job, you finished the 45 layout. It's not super creative, but you're personal. You've just acknowledged something that they've done. But if you can say something even more impressive like, I was watching you do that, and I can't believe how hard you worked, or
How your hard work paid off. You
yeah.
completed
So if
it.
you can be more personal with the praise, that's what we're looking for. It doesn't always happen. You don't always have time, but just be aware of trying to give them a personal praise instead of a blanket statement, which is what we're trying to get away from. Okay, some kids are going to want to watch other kids work. Some kids, that's how they learn. That's how they learn first. Some kids, I have one in my household who does not want to try anything until he knows that he's going to be able to do it. He would not want to just go and do something for the fear of someone looking at him and seeing that he's not doing it right. So he would watch, and then in his mind would decide, oh yeah, I can do that. or
Until he got the confidence.
I'm gonna do that when nobody's when nobody's watching me. So be aware that some children learn by watching other kids. It's their right to watch if they're not being disruptive, and if the other child, says it's okay. But just remember that's how they might learn, is by watching other children. You would have to decide in your classroom whether it's everybody's different, the personality. Some kid might not want someone watching them, and that's their right as well. So
Isn't that part of the grace and courtesy to ask
yeah,
if he can watch?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
but then he has to be completely silent
Yeah.
while he's watching.
Right. He can't interrupt. Yeah. Okay, and then we talked about this already. Children should be allowed to do some of the work in new ways as long as it's not destructive. Even if they're not doing it right, allow them to finish. And then if you need to, you don't always have to do this, but if you need to, you can say, can I have a turn? And then just do the work the way that it was presented. Again, if they're doing it in a creative way, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't step in and do it myself if they did it in a new and innovative way. But if you saw they just did not get that they're not doing that right, allow them to finish and then say, can I have a turn? And then you're just modeling how you want it done. And you're not criticizing them.
Okay, so what happens if, because we've had this, is that a child sits there and comes to you and says, so-and-so's not doing that right. We
learned a good
what
phrase.
would you say to the child?
Different people have different needs. Or,
Yeah,
go focus on your work. I'll come check your work in a minute. They shouldn't be.
I know, because it's the same thing as tattling, but they all sit there and say, she's not doing that right, they're not doing this right, and we had a lot of that.
I think it really depends on what they're doing, because there's variations of the work after they're
Right.
mastered.
Right.
So if they're doing just a variation of the work, they're still doing it right.
Right, and the other child was saying they're doing it wrong. They just may not have been presented that way. So maybe we can find a better statement for that, she's doing it a way Miss Manju showed her, a different way. You'll learn that another time or something like that. Allow kids to wander. They may just need a break as long as they're not destructive. This is part of freedom of movement. We talked about that. Okay, solving their problems will only make them weaker. Allow them to struggle. So, can you give me an example of that, Mom? Getting your coat on, maybe. Yeah, they might not be a master of it, but allow them to struggle a little bit
I got in trouble
before you
for
jump
that.
in.
In big trouble for them.
Or which,
Well, at some point you do have to help, but you want to see the struggle at first.
I did not see any struggle, and
Oh.
I said, I believe you can,
Yeah.
and it went around, and I was like,
oh,
Well,
it
I
was
really-
totally misconstrued.
Okay. Well, you're hearing it from me. Allow them to struggle a little bit. So we don't want them to fail, right? We're not setting them up for failure. We don't want to say, do this yourself to something that they would never be able to do.
And they get frustrated.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is allow them to struggle in something that they're working on or that they're going to be able to be successful in. So yeah, if you have a toddler who there is no way, shape, or form he's going to get his coat on, that's maybe not a child. I'm not saying that's the example. I don't know what the example, but I'm not, you wouldn't say put your coat on. You could do it. You can do it when you know they can't. But like a 4-year-old who is just really being kind of lazy, I can't get my coat on.
Yeah.
Well, show me how you try. Show me how you try.
Put it on and they go backwards.
Yeah.
So however the teachers are showing it, I'm not sure. That's how I did
Can we help
it.
them with the zippers? Cause my thing is, we had to have teachers outside and there were so many stragglers, you just had to get them out there.
Ask a friend. Like they can,
Yeah.
a friend can help as
And then
well.
you can go back and show him the zipper and practical.
The friends
Yeah.
are all outside by now.
Yeah, I mean if you can, like if you have a group and you're trying to, I'll help with you while you help him. So show a group, show that you're if you can. Obviously, all of these things like we can't. My gosh, we were having a conversation the other day about something similar to this. This is all within reason, right? We also have timelines to follow and rules to follow, and so we're not gonna. Oh, I know it was something with cleaning. I think like Bree had mentioned about the nap mats. Like, well, they can do it themselves. Well, yes, they can, but actually, we need to follow this time, like, we gotta get them down. You know what I mean? Like,
And then I think that's a good opportunity to come back for
Yeah,
work
sure.
where they can go and work with the zippers.
Use it as a lesson.
And that's a great point, like if,
Observe and you write
you
it
know, if
down.
you're seeing someone struggle who's like 4.5, who shouldn't be struggling, that's something to write in the observation notebook, like,
Right.
so-and-so needs to practice the dressing frames, something like that.
The other thing is they don't want to clean up, like say, oh, we can clean up, and especially if they work, get a friend to help, could you, I can help you start and then you continue.
Or I'm too tired to clean
Yeah.
up.
It's a big thing.
And just reminding them that we have to get the classroom ready for the
For the
next
next one.
the next
Yes.
day or the next, it's, of course, these are all imperfect theory, like it doesn't always happen this way. Never interrupt while working or resting. So we know about the working part, but again, like if you see that kid who's just kind of in their own world, just having a moment, that's also a time when we shouldn't interrupt them. Let them have a little rest. Okay, there's no perfection in the classroom, it's all practice. I think we know that. Redirect quietly if possible. Redirect quietly or if possible silently. So anytime, just like the presentations that, Ms. Evelyn showed with the rug, she's not saying, now I'm gonna get a rug out, now I'm gonna roll it, now I'm gonna go for my work, because children learn best, especially our non-English speaking students, from our actions. So anytime we can replace a word with an action, we wanna do that. So, be quiet, or hands in your lap. Do it silently, slowly, deliberately, dramatically. Anytime you can do that, it's gonna be better. Only give directions verbally or silently, but not both ways. We spoke about this before. It's too much. It's too much information coming in and out of their heads. So choose one or the other, but not both. Okay, and this was really interesting, I thought. When giving directions, keep your words to 7 or less. They cannot handle all of our instructions. And so if you can think about that and really, really try hard, if you see someone running, you can't do that. You do know you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna trip and fall, and you're gonna hit your head, and then what's gonna happen? Oh my gosh. You have lost them.
Yeah.
It's walk. That's it.
Next walk.
Walk. I can think of another example. This is actually something that, parenting-wise, I have been very good and firm. I think you would agree.
Yeah.
Like okay, so children are little adults. This will be my rant. They're not little adults. We cannot reason with them. They are unreasonable and they're selfish, and that's normal. Okay, we cannot negotiate with them. They are not negotiators. They want to try, but we can't allow them to negotiate with us. So that's why there's limits, and I really feel strongly that they should be able to have their say, but there's limits, there's freedom of choice, but it's with limits. So you give them 2 choices. Both choices have to be acceptable, by the way. Do not give a child a choice that you don't want them to say yes to. So you are the clever one. They're not. You have to outsmart them. They may be more persistent than you, but so you have to treat them again as selfish and unreasonable people, and know that that's normal. So you have to just work your way around that. One of the ways is just to be clear, concise, and short with them, and just to only tell them what you want. If they hear you say no running, what do you think they just heard? Running. So we need to tell everything you say needs to be in the positive form, and not for like being positive. They need to hear what you want them to do. They don't need to hear anything else, because they will not. And your request has just gone in one ear and out the other. So try and keep everything very short. We're not saying things like, why did you do that? Guess what? They don't know. They have no idea. They just had an impulse and they did it. And they will not be able to explain to you why they did it, especially the younger ones. So we're not asking them that. They don't know. So again, you were just telling them, that hurt. I don't like it. You can't do that again. Short and sweet. if you get them talking, they've now taken over control. They've got you talking. They've drawn out their consequence. Like, if I keep her talking, she's not going to punish me, and maybe she'll forget. You know, they're not thinking this, but this is really what's happening in their bodies. If they can just keep you going, so you can't allow them to get you into a tantrum, because that's kind of what it is.
Exactly.
We're now going into a tantrum. We're overreacting. We have to keep our calm, safe, and focus on what we want them to do.
But that also takes a lot of relearning how you
It does.
and how you talk to the child, because if you they just want you to go into a tantrum, like you said.
Yeah,
and
if they
then
can just
want-
stall you, stall the punishment, stall, that's what they want.
And start at the other.
Can get them in
Also,
the-
they'll look at you just like with a blank stare, because you just said 25 words and they're like, I don't know.
Can you
And
do
you're
it?
like, oh yes, you do know. But they don't.
I mean, it happens with the older kids that we had during the summer. If you gave them 3 tasks to do, they did
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Like, go
Yep.
get your Coke, get your water bottle, line
Perfect,
up.
yes.
It was
Perfect
like you're
example. They
sitting
can't hold all that stuff in their head.
Can't do it,
We're
yep.
we're teaching them that. We're showing them through the bank game and the memory game and stuff, but they're not there yet. They're still practicing. They're even with my almost 15-year-old, I just tell them what I want. No lectures, no arguments. I just tell them what I want. And if you have to repeat it over and over again, push your chair in. Push your chair in so no one trips. Push your chair in. No, like, if you don't do that, someone's gonna walk by, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful to them.
No, even my daughter is 20, and sometimes when I do that, she says, just, you said it. That's good.
And they want you to say, they don't want to hear the same thing over again. Yes, you're right.
Exactly
You're right.
the words she
I
used.
got it.
You said it,
Yeah.
I got it.
They're gonna get tired of you repeating yourself.
No.
They don't want to hear, but if you just come up with something new, then they'll, and then something else. But just stick to your script.
Or she'll say, now what? Because you're repeating the same thing again
Yeah.
and again.
So just do it, because then they'll hopefully,
Got it.
hopefully, listen to it. Okay, and we talked about this. Be able to offer choices. This takes some thinking ahead, but if you can give 2 choices, both of which are acceptable, and then let the child choose. An example of this would be at home with like Amaya, like, she won't put her shoes on, and you say, are you going to wear the red ones or the black ones? And if she's still like, I am not getting my shoes on, if you don't want to choose, I'll pick for you. So you're just kind of guiding them to a final choice. So you can also say that, do you want this or do you want this? If there's no response, you can choose or I can choose for you. Okay, and then be able to know where they are in the curriculum. So if a teacher is gone and like so-and-so wants to work on math, not that you're gonna go in and give them a lesson, I'm not saying that, but do the lead teachers have those books that say working on, mastered, that sort of thing?
They have the.
So if you can show your assistants where to find that, not that they're gonna go in and mark anything, but just so they could go check, or Janelle could come, if a parent had a concern at 5:30 and you're not here, and they're like, we just don't know what she's looking at in math, like, it's really helpful if she could go and be like, oh, I see Maya's working on, the multiplication board right now, and then she can kind of explain a little bit about what that is. She might not be able to tell exactly what's going on, but she can. It's just like transparency of communication and that sort of thing. So not right now, but as the curriculum gets underway, you might need to know where the children are in the curriculum. Okay. All right, we are almost done, guys. Promise. Okay, so the next couple things are going to be done in groups. So do you have a sheet that's called positive statements?
Yes.
Okay. So here, I'm gonna let you guys work in your groups, in your classrooms, and there's on the left side, there's a list of negative statements. I won't lie, they're not all easy. In the columns to the right, you're going to write how you would rewrite that to change it into a positive statement. Again, I'm not saying positive as in like upbeat and bubbly. I'm saying we're telling them what we want them to do, not what we don't want them to do. And bonus points for if you cannot do a positive statement, but you can do a positive silent instruction. So the first one I'm gonna give you, the statement is don't run in here. We would change it to what?
Please walk.
Walk. Please, I would probably just say walk. You know, I mean, it's not a request. I mean, it is a command, right? So we're not.
Or you can show them.
Or you can, okay, bonus points.
Instruction walking model.
So, yeah. Okay, so work through those and then we'll go through them in a minute.
Should we do these,
You can do them
individually?
You can do them individually or with your class, it's fine. Because honestly, some of them, we're gonna get different answers for. They're not all super clear, there's probably more than one right answer.
Okay.
Almost done. Yeah. I have to tell you, I think she was a little annoyed with me being there.
I don't know.
Because it was meant for assistance. But I went up to him and I said, you know, I'm really here for my teachers because I want to bring back to them what the assistants are doing. I didn't, you know, I said I want to send my assistants here, but I want my new teachers to know what they're learning. Shannon. Yeah. She's taking over for Shannon.
One of the favorite things.
Classwork. Right, and she'll be
After
taking
the
over
statement,
Shannon's job.
after the silent instruction. How can you write an instruction down and I will be walking?
Some college out there has a master's program. Like not through AMS. It's through a university. Like there must be one university that has it. She's very good. She knows
Like,
stuff.
don't run in here.
And there's one other administrator.
Not yet or later.
There's a school in Ann Arbor.
I mean, I feel like that's not something you can just symbolize.
No, it was a Montessori before. And they still
can't do that
dropped
where-
Montessori from their name because, you know,
How are we supposed to do that? You
charter
can't do
school
that
or
where-
something like that, and you can't have a multi-age classroom.
I mean, a lot of this stuff
Kindergarten
that
has
you're
to be
saying,
like it's
because,
supposed to
yeah,
be
but
forever.
how do you, can you get me a
So
pencil on your
they
ring?
refrain from calling themselves Montessori schools, even though they are, you know. It starts with a D, and I thought it was Daycraft. Something like that, I'll look it up. He's brand new, so he is not Montessori trained, and so he just came there to get an understanding, a basic understanding of Montessori, because he's like a principal. They hired him in, kind of like Debbie, right? Someone who has administrative experience. I think it goes up into elementary, maybe high school. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I didn't test him. But so he was there, but he was asking really great questions. They were
I
so
don't know,
off.
just skip over some,
He
go
was off.
find
I
some
mean,
work.
it was clear that he had no knowledge of
Positive,
Montessori. Because he was like, well, what? You know, has anyone ever thought of doing blah blah blah?
You need help finding something.
But it's fine. This is his very first. Yeah.
So it's a charter school?
I think it's something like that. Maybe it's a public school. I don't know. No, they didn't just open it. He's new. He's the new administrator.
Take your own shoe off and show them.
I don't know. I'll look it up when I get my phone back on.
Again, a positive statement is like, you're asking a question, it's like, do you need
But
help?
I mean, he's definitely going to be more in
I
the
mean,
office,
because
right?
what
No,
else are you
but
gonna
he,
say?
you know, I think just
It's like, okay, take your
needed
time
some.
putting your shoes on.
He's like,
No,
my
you're not
staff
gonna
are
say
coming in
that.
on Monday,
I mean,
and I
I'm
need
really
like
not sure.
something. And then he like left halfway through the second day, so. Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
So this is Brighton Montessori or?
No, this is
the training
Waterford at the training center. But there's it's a full school, but the training center is like
They
within
go up
it.
to elementary too,
I
right?
think so, and it's a charter school.
As they go, because it might not happen, it might happen a lot. But, you know, just because someone else is doing math for them doesn't mean that there's no
Oh, stop talking, line 10.
I just want you to think about it.
Hmm.
Help direct us on what to say then.
Yeah, that one would be for your motion, for your silent instruction. I mean, cause you don't have to completely like positive statement, you have to positive look.
Really depending on the situation, because you
And
can
it totally
rise,
does, yeah.
if it is the older child, it really depends on
They don't carry the tray that way.
What's happening. Now, boys have a different thing.
Don't carry the tray that way. They don't like that.
That's a good show.
That one would show to how you carry it.
They're all friends.
But don't carry the tray like carry the tray.
Did you get someone your name and number to do an interview here?
You can't have snack now.
We will have snack in a few minutes.
Have a positive statement that you can't have snack now.
We will have snack. We will have snack in a few minutes.
No, I was when I had that training.
Can you say, can we wait till, or you can say that, Miss so-and-so is preparing the snack.
One
Or I
clarification or
think
whatever.
snack right now, or something like that.
And you said, "What do you?"
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and yeah, so okay, so I don't really know much about her, but she just came in this week.
You can't carry scissors like that. Yeah, it would show.
I think it's like, you might play a game of that.
No, I think it just means that
We're not.
Touching your finger 9 times.
Maybe more. No. And she took the training. She took the training. That's kind of nice. Okay, well that's good.
Touching your finger.
Oh, I mean, not that I mean, not that it matters, but I was just thinking to myself, I can't remember which one. Oh, yeah. Of course, because she didn't have the training. Yeah. Yeah.
So actually you show.
Yeah. Although after me was like, they're not so much. I know, I just say it's
Yeah, sometimes silent. Clean up on your left side. And then positive. Clean up your
She was around like, I took a training with her.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only gave it to one person, so that's okay.
That'd be her.
But I talked to
The few people, yeah.
it's funny that I just have it as a person.
I'm getting snack ready.
They're nice.
You
They're
can't have
nice.
snack now.
But like, I just like threw some into myself. So like, okay, like, I picked it, give it to this lady. Just let me know if you want them. I don't know how. Well, I don't know. Do people just toss them? Like, I feel like having it on our
I mean, if you're out and someone's talking, you can start that conversation. Like, hey, give me a card. That's good.
That's true.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, they're cheap, right? You want this, and you can get nice ones. So, I know we've got some like,
But a positive statement.
He's giving her a tour. It was just so funny. She's
Okay,
like, I need to own her.
you guys need to help
And
her
then he's
with
probably like, I'm
the-
on it.
And you're like, and we're like, well, where? He's like, I just did. I
Because
did
no,
training.
no, no,
And then you're like,
it's all that we're talking about,
okay.
you know, and
Oh, that's funny.
she needs help with that. Hey, what did you guys put, like, you can't have snacks? What did you guys put? You can't have snacks.
This one is going to be lunchtime. You should interact with
Okay,
snack. There's video games that you can play on.
Right? There's gonna be multiple right answers. Let's just
I
say there's not
know.
one right answer for these.
That's what
No, we
happened.
wrote like that.
Yeah.
Soon it's lunchtime or snack time is over.
Yeah, we'll go through that one.
Or if it is not, then you have, when the child is already eating and he wants to then wait for your turn, you know?
Oh, I see. You're talking about two different situations.
Yeah.
You're talking about a kid who
You have
hasn't
to
had
go by only what she's
snack.
giving
You're
you.
talking about kids who there's not availability
Yeah,
for snacks.
right,
So those are
yeah.
two different things.
Yeah, you have to just stick to the.
Even though that's not. probably not gonna be right.
Or let's have snap all together.
Toddler, that's how, that's how it is.
Can I have at least?
Another couple minutes still?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, you're good.
And I'll be honest, there was like one or two that I just did not have an answer for. I'm like, I'll just wait until she tells me which was appropriate. I didn't have all the answers.
Yeah, I know.
And it's okay again.
Yeah. They're not up in the thing, we're out. Take care, take my print, take my computer. You know, I was waiting because the, pretty soon we're gonna go to weekly, so I was kind of just doing that. So print out about us, allocation.
I didn't, I skipped it
Fee
for right
schedule
now.
9 minutes.
I'm just skipping them that I just don't have time to concentrate.
Those are
I
the
have to do
main
it.
things. The fee schedule, you can do,
Don't sit on the table, get off the table.
So
yeah, contract
I
90
told
minutes.
you that you would get it.
Maybe not over the bill, I guess. Okay. We'll start with doing the answers, and if you didn't quite finish, we're gonna go through them and get to them. So just, you can just kind of, not yell out, but you know, like, state your answers if you wanna share your positive statement or silent instruction.
Okay.
So we already did the first one. So number 2, you can't do that work.
Can I help you find something else?
Yep,
I put, let me show you this one first.
Yep.
So go back to that.
yep, let me show you, can I show you,
Can I find something?
yep.
Can you,
Miss
any of the options?
Miss Maddie